Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the ESBN podcast. My name is Chippy. I'm your host, and today I'm joined by my good friend Spencer. Say hello.
Hello.
Now, Spencer, you are a staff member here at Western Michigan University. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I do work on campus. So I am the success advisor for the College of Ed and Human Development over in Sangren Hall.
Gotcha. Absolutely awesome. He's my current success advisor to students out there. I myself love the support. I love just having all the staff at Western to help me out. I was able to go in, do drop-in advising today just through the Student Success app. Absolutely awesome. I love it to death, and I cannot give more of a shout-out to these people here at Western Michigan University under the Student Success staff. But before I get into our topic of discussion today, it's just going to be a little bit of mental health with Spencer here. Give a little bit of a recap to what's happened recently for your Broncos. Now, this past week on Tuesday, the Overwatch 2 team faced up against Akron, the Zips. And we actually picked up an amazing 3-1 victory over the Zips. It started off a little weak. The Broncos weren't really prepared for the warm-up as they got absolutely stomped in map number 1. It was not close whatsoever, but there was some life brought back into the team, and maps 2, 3, and 4 were just a clean landslide. I have never seen anything like it, and it makes me wish that the 2 reverse sweeps that we lost earlier in the season did not happen because they played absolutely out of their minds. But they have a doubleheader next week, so stay on the lookout for that. Tuesday and Thursday matchups are absolutely awesome, and it's coming right near the end of their season. So only 3 matches left with 2 next week and 1 more, and final matchup against Central in a couple weeks. So try to get yourselves on out to the Esports arena where you can check out the team as well as our amazing space for watching the game live in our arena. I'd like to give a nice big thanks to WIDR WIDR FM 89.1 allowing us to listen in on the podcast today, and allowing you to listen into the podcast today. That's what I wanted to say. There's a ton of other amazing podcasts here. My favorite one is the food review podcast they have. I love to listen to that one each and every week it airs. So if you have a chance, go check it out on widrfm.org. That's widrfm.org. And you can also find all the previous episodes as well from our ESBN podcast. The Overwatch team, as well as our Club Smash team here at Western, as well as the Varsity Rocket League team, traveled to an event this past weekend, the Bethel Pilot Invitational, where the teams picked up amazing tournament runs. The Varsity Rocket League team picked up an amazing 3-0 victory in the grand finals over Grand Valley State University, or 4-2. That's a lie. I lied. 4-2 victory over Grand Valley State University in the grand finals for that one, and took themselves home a nice little trophy. The Overwatch team had lost in the grand finals against Michigan State University 0-3. A tough loss, but they learned a lot from that game as well going into their matchup against Akron this past week that I think they absolutely dominated in. And then the Club Smash team, which has risen up from the waters. They're currently 6-0 in their division standings, absolutely playing out of their minds so far in all of their matches. If you haven't gone or done so and joined our club Discord, where you can see a little bit of their highlights. This past weekend, one of our players, Z Kayani, was down, actually. He had 3 stocks to the other team's 7 total stocks in a crew battle format. So each player gets 3 stocks, and once they run out of stocks, they no longer are, available to play for that round, and the next person brings their 3 stocks up in character to the stage. Well, Z, funnily enough, in that first round match of the grand finals against Michigan State, picked up a 7-stock comeback with all 3 of his stocks. Absolutely insane. I've never seen anything like it. The place erupted, and everyone loved what happened. And that match sadly ended in a 1-2 defeat for the Broncos, falling down to Michigan State. That's it for the recap of the event. I want to give a big shout out to our coaching staff that was able to help the teams out on their way down there, cheering the Smash coach, as well as Evan, the Overwatch coach, and our own assistant coordinator of esports, Tavian, for helping out with the event and coaching the Rocket League team for them. So thank you guys. It was awesome to watch the event from home. But now, with all the recap and stuff out of the way, Spencer, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. My voice is shot, but the vibes are good.
There you go. There you go. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health in esports today. We had a past event with a former WMU alumni, Edward Cleland, who runs a mind body wellness organization which works with top orgs in esports today, like G2 Esports and many others out there, to help motivate and keep the team, in a proper headspace and wellness overall when they go into their games, so they're not feeling down or anything like that. That's mental to the players isn't holding them back. And now as a student, we think esports can't be that big of a deal on many of the students. They're already at their computers, right? They're at home sometimes. But the way I kind of look at it sometimes, Spencer, is that esports athletes are also student athletes in most of the ways that you may not expect. We were talking a little bit about before we came on to the podcast now that most of the time a student athlete may spend in their week maybe like 20, 25 hours in sports or more. Same thing for esports athletes. I'd say our players spend about 20 to 15 to 20 hours a week dedicated to just esports practice alone. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about your thoughts as a success advisor. How should students really spend their time with esports, or even as a student athlete? How do we kind of separate our hobbies or what we love to do away from our schoolwork to be the most successful?
Yeah, and I think it really depends. I think we're all kind of built a little bit different, and we all have a handful of things going on that are unique to us. And I think we need to start with a close look at ourselves. So getting reflective and asking ourselves, where's my time going? And am I spending it in the best way possible? You've been getting reflective, right, Chippy?
Yeah. I would say I've been extremely reflective. I think one of the biggest things that has helped me out the most is kind of acknowledging where I'm spending the most of my time. And when we were talking a little bit about those in a lot of our success meetings, is that I spend a lot of time working. Like, a large amount of my time is working. So I really loved the fact that I could reflect and separate schedules. One of the biggest and most helpful things for me was kind of scheduling out my days. And you helped me out with that with a lot by kind of having a second look at my schedule and looking over those things.
Yeah, I think, right, we need the tools to do the job, and we need to make sure that we're conscious of, do we have the tools, and do we know how to use them to make things happen? So often I think some people go around and kind of stumbling and bumbling around and feel drained as a result, right? When it maybe doesn't have to be like that. So maybe the second thing I want to comment on is being open or receptive to making a change, right? If something's not working, ask yourself, what could be improved and optimized?
Yeah, and to be kind of fully transparent out there, I've been doing this kind of an esports gig, I would call it, as a student now for a couple years. And the first year I did it, I was so busy. I didn't know where to separate my time. And really, I didn't choose to reflect on anything for a while, and it really showed on myself and as well as my school effort and school work where there were things that were missing, maybe an assignment deadline I missed or other assignments that I was just getting behind on and turning in late that I shouldn't be turning in late. It's 10-point assignment that I can get done in, 20, 30 minutes. And instead I'm spending my time either working or playing my own video games, And so I think that's an amazing point you bring up, where it's good to be reflective on yourself and also holding yourself somewhat accountable for those types of things.
Right. And you've recently been really intentional with how you're blocking your time for your responsibilities, right? You have a few specific things that you've built in on the daily.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and something specifically to bring up about that is my Mondays. I hate Mondays. I'll be completely honest. I hate Mondays. And so I had my Mondays open for the longest time. And we are hosting through Kalamazoo Parks and Recs a middle school kind of tournament with Smash Bros, Super Smash Bros. And so all I really do with elementary kids in that regard through Kalamazoo Parks and Recs is I just show up I'm doing homework there while helping out with any tech issues the kids have. The rest of the KPR staff, they're absolutely amazing at helping organize the event, and we just use the arena. And I'm there as kind of a chauffeur a little bit, showing them around and helping them set up. And I love that to death because during that time block, it's like a few hour time block, maybe a couple hours. During those 2 hours, I'm doing homework almost the entire time. And I love how I was able to kind of add those into my schedules where it wasn't making my Monday, which is my least favorite day of the week, a good day,
Yeah, right. So finding the in-between time, right, that maybe is there, but maybe is hiding, right? And
Yeah.
kind of using that to, serve you.
Definitely. And something else I wanted to kind of add on to that was me, myself, when I competed as a student back in 2020, when I, originally first joined as a freshman, I played way too much. And I was so invested in just competing and grinding out all those times, I wanted to ask if you think, is it important to keep in mind, what needs to be done? Of course, it's good to, hey, get your stuff done, get your assignments done. But, sometimes, and something that I'd like to bring up about our Overwatch coach specifically, Evan has been doing a great job at supporting the students and what they need to do. Many times, during events or practice, some of the students can't play or compete because they have to get their schoolwork done. And this past weekend for the Bethel event, a couple of our students couldn't attend, just because they had too much homework. And they were like, hey, coach, I'm sorry, but I can't go. It's just too tough on my schedule to be able to compete and get my homework done. So I wanted to ask in tandem to that or in conjunction, how do you really, think about that as a success advisor? How crucial is it to take time away when you may be putting all that effort into esports?
Yeah, a couple things. So I think, we as, right, students here at a university, we're students first, and you can have fun in college and do all these extracurriculars such as orgs, right, and so on, and have this fun, but you can't major in fun.
No,
right?
Not at all.
So I think being really cognizant of that reality is important. We as humans need boundaries, or things can fall by the wayside and feel disorganized, right? And that can be a downward spiral. It doesn't have to be like that. We can control certain things, like how we choose to slice up our time, like we were talking about. So I hope that people are really honest with themselves about where their time is going and what's important to them in the end.
Gotcha. Yeah. Beautifully said. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I realized that a lot of my time was, always at my computer. And I touched on that a little bit ago. But, I always felt like when I'm in my room, I'm at my computer, nothing else. I'm not laying in bed. I don't have a TV in there. I just got my computer, So it's like I'm not really detaching away from the computer. I'm just kind of always stuck in that loop of what's going on online. But I wanted to touch a little bit on that stress that can be involved with that. And even then to relate it once again to myself, for a lot of students out there, people listening, I myself, I think I get some extreme anxiety when it comes to, getting some stuff done. There was a assignment that I had to do. I even emailed Spencer about it and with the anxiety related to it, and what can I do? I just need some help. And those are some of the things that I highly advise you to go out there and do as a student. Ask for some of those helps and things, questions sometimes, to a professor or even to the success staff here. If you can, get someone under the success staff, right? Ask them these questions. It's very, very important to many of the staff here that you are doing your best. And with that in mind, sometimes you may have, or a player or a student may have a lot of anxiety going into assignments or even into games, and I would like to ask you, what are your kind of best tips when it comes to having anxiety, whether it's related to like performance anxiety or, schoolwork anxiety or anything like that? What's your best way to really kind of deal with some of those things when it comes to trying to be a student athlete?
Yeah. So a couple things. I think it's important that we recognize that how we frame things matters. And when we think about like anxiety, we need to acknowledge that it's real. And we need to be honest with ourselves. Something that made a difference in my life is, kind of putting my arm around anxiety and kind of reframing it as not a bad thing, but recognizing it's showing me a sign that I'm invested, and it's showing me a sign that I care about something, right?
Yeah.
And right, if we can just acknowledge that and frame it in a more positive light, not dismiss it, spotlight it, and it's something that we manage. That's a healthy start. So I wanna say that up top. I also want to say, if people are I alluded to this earlier. We as humans can't always control what happens, but we can always control how we react, right?
Yeah.
That's in our control.
Mm-hmm.
So while life might seem chaotic, first take a breath and kind of reassess and figure out, well, what types of things are in my control? Can I control how much time I'm devoting to my extracurriculars? I think so. Can I control where I personalize my schedule on, and where I can find bits of time that I can study? Yeah. And you can uphold that weekly and daily, if so. Someone once told me that failing to prepare is preparing to fail, and I think a lot of the time we can just get lost in the sauce of all the chaos that college can bring, and maybe we stress ourselves out unnecessarily just because we haven't maybe spent enough time doing what we ought to, and just kind of going with the flow of what we just want, right?
Yeah, I heavily understand that. A lot of the time I felt like my first 2 years of college, I went with the flow. COVID really controlled a lot of what I got to do or what I chose to do, and I kind of just like let school do its own thing. I kind of just went with the flow, did the assignments, and scheduled my classes again, and rinsed and repeat, when I really didn't take time to acknowledge my own successes, what I needed to do as a student. So I think that's amazing to even say, and to put respect onto that, I think I failed to prepare, and I prepared myself for failure. I think that it's hard for some students out there to really grasp an idea of what to do if they may not be aware of what's happening, right? Or if they're not prepared for college, how can someone out there, set them up, right? And that's where you, I said us in reference to esports, I'm sorry. You, as kind of that student success staff, help guide students through that. And one last little question I thought I'd like to ask you is, what's your favorite part about being a student success advisor here at Western?
Yeah, so something that stands out as something that I'm really honored to be able to get to do is to watch students grow. And I've got to watch Chippy grow. I've got to watch dozens of students grow, and that always kind of warms my heart a little bit, because it reaffirms that change is possible. And so often, right, people can walk around as pessimists and doom and gloom, and the world's out to get me, and everything's bad, and I can't do this. I think taking a risk to be vocal and trust somebody and to meet regularly can really do wonders, right, with people's self-development.
Yeah.
Someone once asked me, and I get asked this all the time, they'll say, what helps students be successful? And truly, as I said at the beginning, it depends. But something that's universal is quality time with quality people makes the difference in all of us. So if we can surround ourselves with people that care about us as humans, and invest their time and want to help us notice how we can grow, we're better for it. And so I get to be a witness to that, and that's the best part of my job.
Yeah, and an amazing thing to even add on to that is, you as a student, you're not alone. You're not alone out there. And to be frank, I felt like I was alone for a while, and kind of in my own realm, guiding my own self through college, when that's really not the case for yourself as a student here at Western. So I highly advise you once again to go out there. If you need the help, go look for a success advisor. There's counselors also here on campus that can help you with all those types of things, and I highly recommend it for you out there, because me myself, I hands down appreciate it the most. I mean, there is no better thing I could ask for besides having a plan and having someone kind of keep me accountable and helping me guide myself through a lot of these things. So that is truthfully all I really had for you today, Spencer. I think all of them are amazing thoughts. I loved everything you had to share. It is absolutely amazing the type of support here we have at Western. So thank you once again, Spencer.
Hell yeah, brother.
So thank you so much for listening, you guys. Once again, tune in next week on Tuesday for NKU, Northern Kentucky Universities, who our varsity Overwatch will be competing up against. And then on Thursday night, both of these matches start at 8 p.m. You can go check out on our socials at x.com, formerly known as Twitter, at DWMU Esports or WMU Esports, all online. You can find us pretty easily on like Facebook, Instagram, and so on. So that'll do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.